Welcome to Golden Wealth Channel, a place where future billionaires come to get secret codes for success. If you are new here, welcome, and be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out. With that being said, let's get straight to today's video. 100 Psychology Facts About Human Beings You Never Knew. Our brains help us interpret the environment, recognize everyone and everything, learn new knowledge, and ironically, we really don't know how much of our brains work. However, modern neuroscience and neuropsychology have made significant strides in explaining the impact our minds have on our daily tasks. This is why psychology feels intriguing and thought-provoking to many. So, here we bring you some of the most interesting 100 psychology facts for students. The term psychology has been derived from the Greek word psyche, translating as breath, spirit, soul, and logia, that corresponds to study of. It takes about 66 days for an average individual to make something a daily habit. Studies say that individuals who could instinctively use sarcasm to tackle a frivolous question have healthy minds. Individuals who have a deep sense of guilt are better at identifying the emotions and concerns of the people around them. We're naturally second-minded because other people don't approve. Yawning to have someone else's yawn is a normal phenomenon, despite not feeling exhausted or asleep. One of the myths regarding its infectiousness is that people catch it to express empathy. An average individual's mind wanders 30% of the time. Eye pupil rises to 45% when an individual looks at somebody they love. We often tend to break down knowledge into classes of 3-4 objects in them. The Indian phone number is 984-973-2543. 3 blocks with 3-4 bits in each chunk. Intrigued by these psychology facts? We have 90 more in the countdown. Keep going. During the 7 minutes of neural activity you will have before dying, you will see your memories in a dreamlike pattern. Having siblings is proven to help with getting along well with peers. The way an individual treats the employees at an establishment tells immensely about their character. If you sob out of happiness, the first tear will come from the right eye, but if you cry out of sorrow, it will come from the left. Food prepared by someone else tastes much better than your own preparation, even when you use the same recipe. Hearing a single negative thing could damage at least 5 positive memories. Studies have shown that consuming food without preservatives will increase IQ by up to 14%. You seem to think more about a specific individual than about catastrophic events. An individual still has 7 minutes of neural activity before he passes away. Researchers have observed that thinking that something bad is going to happen is less stressful to understand than not understanding how it will eventually wind up. Another interestingly fun fact about psychology that it keeps us fascinated, as humans are always curious about knowing their minds better. So, scroll down to find some more amazing facts on human psychology. Men aren't more entertaining than women, they only make more jokes, they don't care whether others like their humor or not. Shy people tell others very little about themselves, but they do it in quite a manner that makes other individuals believe they know them better than they actually think they do. Our brain size has decreased by 10% since we were hunter-gatherers. People in blue rooms are also much more productive. The study showed that information could last longer in the mind of a person evaluated for it than if it were only examined without the need for instant recall. You are in an endless pursuit of human faces and inanimate objects. People are much more likely to return a missing wallet if a picture of a child is found inside. Smart people tend to have fewer mates than the average person. The smarter the individual, the more selective they become. People who speak 2 languages can unintentionally change their personalities when they switch to speak from one language to another. People would rather change the truth than change their views about people. Being alone is harder for your health than you really believe. We're the most imaginative in the night and the least creative in the day. Being home alone and isolated for a long time is just as bad for your well-being as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. People are more likely to blame someone in the case when something negative happens. Studies also found that people who are in a position of influence and power are very poor in determining other people's emotions. People between the ages of 18 and 33 are the highest percentage to have depression in the world. Studies say that travel improves brain well-being and even lowers a person's chance of heart disease and depression. Cognitive dissonance is when you have two contradictory values, and you change one to match another. The broken heart condition is also called stress cardiomyopathy, which could lead to critical, short-term heart muscle dysfunction. The force of authority may have the same effect on a human as a traumatic brain injury. People read quicker with longer lines but prefer shorter lines. Larger groups make worse and more subjective choices than smaller groups of people. If you can't interrupt the stream of thinking at night, write it down. This is going to put your mind at ease so that you can relax. Women have half as many pain receptors on their bodies as males, but they have a much greater threshold for pain. Physically, repetition affects the brain as new associations are made between brain cells. The maximum number of close relationships, friendships you can maintain is between 50 and 150. Any relationship born between 16 and 28 years of age is more likely to be robust and long-lasting. Emotional pain is remembered better than actual pain, which has a greater influence on your behavior. If we have a plan B, our plan A is less likely to succeed. The starting and the ending are easier to recall than the middle ones. Woo! You made it through 50 psychology facts. Don't forget them already. We have 50 more to go. Hop on. Anything that your mind says has an identical response from the body cells. We would like to break more laws if one law is too strict. London cab drivers, who need to know every street in London, have an expanded hippocampus that indicates that this area is increasing as you decipher more details. Our minds are working on making boring speeches more exciting. You're conditioned to enjoy the songs you've most listened to in high school. Memories are more like pieced images than precise snapshots. When you feel like you're low on something like money, you're obsessive about it. A scientist named Thomas H. Morgan discovered that chromosomes had inherited knowledge. Your brain is doing more imaginative work when you're sleepy. It is also found that staying optimistic about the future can powerfully shield people from physical and mental illness. People who view crime shows and films have consistently overestimated the frequency of crime in the real world. Your reliance on social media is the product of your psychological system. There's a neurological explanation why you thought like your phone was vibrating, because there's absolutely no warning, called phantom vibration syndrome. Some people live their lives as if they were in a reality television show. Feeling as though you are in a TV reality show is considered the Truman Syndrome. Seeing others favorably shows our positive characteristics, seeing others negatively reveals our negative attributes. Depression is often referred to as the product of thought. Imagination causes issues that didn't exist. Being happy around people makes you happier. Convincing yourself that you slept well tricks your brain into believing you did. The sort of music you listen to influences the way you view the world. Romantic desire is biochemically indistinguishable from serious obsessive-compulsive disorder. Phobias may be memories which are passed down through many ancestors by means of our DNA, according to new studies. Researchers are thinking of adding internet addiction to the general list of psychiatric illnesses. The brain experiences rejection as physical discomfort. We might persuade ourselves that a dull job was enjoyable if we weren't rewarded. Sugar and fat were pretty good stuff to our predecessors. Our brain doesn't think that long-term deadlines are so significant. Our own local culture and environment can sometimes cause hallucinatory voices. The average high school student now has the same level of anxiety as compared to the average psychiatric ward inmate in the early 1950s. Religious rituals, such as prayer, are associated with significantly lower levels of mental issues or psychological discomfort. No one born blind has ever had schizophrenia. Your choices are more logical because you think about another language. Human behavioral studies indicate that a person who loses mobile phone experiences a fear comparable to a near-death experience. A hug longer than 20 seconds will produce hormones into your body that makes you trust the individual who is hugging you. People are franker because they're emotionally drained. That's why people mention things in late-night talks. Chocolate discharges the chemical oxytocin, which is the same chemical your body produces when you are happy. Happiness, rage, sorrow, anxiety, disgust, and surprise are the 6 feelings that are uniformly conveyed. People seem to be happy when they're kept busy, as this keeps them from worrying about bad problems in life. Narcissistic personality disorder exists in around 6% of the population. The sight of water has a very calming and soothing effect on people, which makes them experience happiness, calming thoughts, and be even more imaginative. Almost there. 10 more thought-provoking psychology facts to go. People seem to respect items more when they assemble them on their own, also partially named after the furniture from the renowned store, the IKEA effect. One research claimed that a man who was named Billy Milligan had 24 personalities. Money will buy happiness, but only to a certain extent. Retrograde amnesia is a disease where you don't recall much of the injuries. About all colors have a physical wavelength associated with it, but the magenta hue does not. Instead, the brain is actually viewing the color as not green. Almost all colors have a physical wavelength associated with it, but the color magenta doesn't, as your brain is actually interpreting the color as not green. We scream out when we are really happy, and our hypothalamus and our brain can't distinguish the difference between good happiness and sorrow. When we sleep, our spinal fluid flows into the skull beyond the blood vessels of the brain. This reduces brain cell waste, a particular accumulation of amyloid beta protein. The fastest supercomputer in the world takes 24 million watts of power to run, but our brains only need 20 watts and operate over 100,000 times faster. Exercise slows the neurological deterioration in our brains, and increased physical exercise will delay our brains aging by 10 years. Psychology facts that actually work. Here are some of the best psychology facts that actually work. 100 psychology facts. We often think more about a person than a catastrophic event that might happen. By taking study notes in longhand, your brain is able to remember because writing exactly what you study helps you retain better knowledge. It is easier to remember how a story started as well as concluded than its middle. You'll feel more happy spending your money on others and than on yourself. 100 psychology facts. People seem to respect items more when they assemble them on their own, which is known as IKEA effect. Taking your decisions by thinking in a foreign language can help you be more rational. Someone who is born blind has not been found to have schizophrenia. 100 psychology facts. Narcissistic personality disorder has been found in around 6% of the population. Babies also start to process language just like grown-ups after a couple of days of being born. Psychologists have also found that the color blue can work as an appetite suppressant. The type of music you listen to impacts the way you look at the world. Letting yourself to feel the negative emotions and feelings related to an event in your life might actually help you move past it faster.